What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Lore Reloaded. It is always a pleasure to see all of you guys live. You should be hearing me this time. And today we're going to be doing a watch video. A let's play, if you will. It would appear that NitPicking Nerd, who does Major Grin, didn't know at the time that I did the video, has done a response to a video I did, we'll say being critical of his work. Now, a couple of things before we get straight up into this. A few things I want to let you guys know. I actually do like Major Grin, and I also like NitPicking Nerd. He and I disagree, sometimes vehemently, on things. But overall, I think he's a fair enough guy. People also get confused when they... And this isn't necessarily NitPicking Nerd per se, but more people who come in from a third-person point of view. Just because I do a criticism, even a major criticism, or possibly even a negative one, doesn't mean that I dislike the person or that I want hate to go their way. In fact, if you check the description of this video, you will see the video that I will be responding to. I fully think that you guys should go and check it out, subscribe to him if you like it, as well as give your own comments and opinions. You may agree with them, you may not. In retrospect, this may be just a background on his video, but he put my name in it, so I figured, hey, let's get into it and see what's going on. By the way, what's going on at PDOS? Hope you're well. Good evening, everyone. This should be good. I hope it is. All other beards aside. No idea what that means. All right, let's just get into it. Hold on. I also sent him an invite, so if he comes in and wants to come on Discord, he's more than welcome to have a conversation with me. Anytime, anybody... And anytime I criticize someone, they are always more than welcome to come on and have a conversation with me. If I'm not willing to have a conversation or talk to somebody, I'm not going to talk about them on my video or on my channel. I don't think that's fair. Again, I also have not seen this. So for all I know, he could be saying I'm the best person on the face of the earth, or he could be attacking me. All right, you guys ready? Are you ready? Are your bodies ready? You ready? Sup, man? I really enjoyed your video earlier on the Phantom Menace. It was very balanced. Well, I'm glad you liked it, buddy. I put a lot of effort. Let me say this, too, because you just reminded me of that. So, that video that I did, I recently did a video on the Phantom Menace. It was just the Phantom Menace. It was really just toxic culture, and the Phantom Menace is most associated with that. That's not to say that Phantom Menace is necessarily toxic culture. It's just what the association is. And I had been doing research on that for about a week to 2 weeks, and I was getting ready to do the principal photography. And I stand by that I think Major Grin takes shots that just don't make any sense. They're out of context. They seem funny when they're out of context, but as Star Trek Discovery would say, which I not like, context is for kings. So I felt like it was disingenuous. Now, a part of that may have been that I was really frustrated because after doing so much research, one of my pet peeves is when someone should know better and doesn't. And this is both Phantom Menace and We Are Starfleet. There are so many people on YouTube, on Twitter, who run popular websites that CBS sends stuff to, that should know better. It's their job to know this stuff, and they just simply won't do the research. And I don't know if it's because they're idiots. I don't know if it's because they want the views. I don't know if it's... I don't know why it is, but someone who should know better and doesn't really frustrates me. Now, again, I'm not saying that's Major Grin, like, at all, because it's a comedy channel more than anything else. I think he's doing what he believes to be legitimate, but it is a comedy channel at the end of the day. I'm more talking about, like, the sincere ones. All right, so with that ado, hold on, I got to turn this on so you guys can hear it. I have not listened to this. I literally have no idea what's going to happen. So we're going to do this together. We're going to do it live, as they say. All right. I'll just exit out of that. Okay. You guys ready? Are you ready? Is your bodies ready? Because my body is ready. YouTube also apparently is messing up, which is fantastic. All right. Here we go.
Hello everyone, this is NitPicking Nerd, also known as Major Green, for those who don't know.
Alright, can you guys hear it? Let me know if you guys can hear it. Also, if it seems like there's a delay, hit refresh. If you refresh it, you should catch up. But did you guys hear that?
That I don't make it clear in every video, and there are reasons for that, which I will explain. And today I want to respond to another channel called Lore Reloaded.
Alright. You guys can hear it? Alright, here we go. Let's do this. Again, if you want to see the channel for yourself, go check it out, subscribe, tell him I said hi. Doesn't matter what he says here, I do respect the guy, regardless of what he says. There are multiple channels that hate me that I actually respect. I'm not saying he does, I guess we'll find out. Okay.
Hello everyone, this is NitPicking Nerd, also known as Major Green, for those who don't know that. I don't make it clear in every video, and there are reasons for that, which I will explain. And today I want to respond to another channel called Lore Reloaded, which I'm actually a fan of. I watched a lot of his videos, not all of them, and I very often disagree with him. Maybe later on I'll say some of the things which he said, which I think are totally wrong, and I think it's okay for other channels to criticize each other, as long as it's done in a civilized way, without any personal attacks against each other. So I'm totally fine with any criticism toward me. And hopefully, when I make criticism back talking about the issues, I will also be treated politely. And this video is not just about my response to Lore Reloaded. I also want to use the opportunity to respond to many other people who made similar comments.
Okay, so I wish more people were like him, just so that we can get that on. I honest to God, there are so few YouTubers that are like that. I also appreciate the fact that he can tell the difference between attacking the idea or the scope of the channel versus, you know, him himself. So, okay, cool. Off to a good start, Mr. Nitpicking, if that is even your real name. Here we go.
About my other channel, and so I want to clarify everything and to explain everything so that everybody knows exactly what it's all about and what are the reasons for why I'm doing the stuff I'm doing and all of that. And first of all, to explain why I'm on different channels pretending to be different people. Well, I never intend to deceive anyone, and the reason I'm kind of keeping it vague and I'm not using my bigger channel, my other channel, to promote this one is for a few reasons. First of all, just safety on YouTube. Because I'm using copyrighted material on my other channel, technically CBS can block me or they even terminate the channel in 1 second if they want to.
That's not how that works. So first off, there's a couple of things. And I'm actually going to try to play this at double speed. I hope you guys are okay with that. There's a couple of things to that. First off, just because you simply use their stuff, you can, under the fair use clause, specifically... playback speed. You can, under the fair use clause... be defensible and them not block your stuff. You can come back. I do it all the time. I will constantly have 5 or 6 videos that are in dispute with CBS, like all the time. Beyond that, let's say that you did something that CBS can shut you down for, something legitimate. They can still come after the other channel. They can still find it. It doesn't, even if you use separate emails, makes it harder, but they can still do it. And I think your stuff is well within the use. I mean, I get why you're doing it, and it would make it harder. I don't know that they come after you, but it doesn't protect you necessarily, because the way YouTube works is if one shuts down, it's not connected. It's not in theory connected to the email. It's connected to the person. I hate YouTube's terms of service when it comes to that. By the way, that is wrong. YouTube should not do that.
And also YouTube itself, they have a stupid rule that if you have one channel terminated, then you're not allowed to have any other channel, and it can cause a domino effect if that channel is terminated and YouTube realizes that this one is linked to it, then they might terminate this one as well, and so I would like to avoid that. And those of you who know my history on YouTube and how many times I had to restart channels would understand why I'm being so paranoid, and so I don't want to make it clear even to YouTube itself that this is the same channel owner as that other channel. And for the record, I'm not monetizing anything on that other channel because it has copyrighted material, and it doesn't have my verbal reviews, and so it's not really fair use my other channel, and so that's why I'm keeping it totally separate, so that if something happens to it, it won't affect this one. And another reason why I split off all my reviews to a separate channel, because, you know, I have an accent, my English is not that good, and so I don't want to annoy people who stumble into my videos, and so people who come to watch the compilations or the parodies or the comparison videos, I don't want to force them to listen to me, and so that's why I keep it all separate. And even
That's crap, sir. That's crap. I don't care about your accent. I want to know about your content. But I get you, most people aren't like me in that. What's going on, Miss Love?
this channel, one of the reasons I keep myself anonymous, meaning why I don't show my face or my real name, is because that way no one can sue me. So if CBS gets pissed off at that other channel and what it's doing and they want to punish me for it, and so if they know that this is my other channel and they know my identity, then technically they can sue me, and I really don't want to deal with any of that. And so that's one of the reasons I keep myself anonymous and I don't share my social media and all of that.
Okay, so there's a couple things. First off, slow down. He's going too fast. That's me. I actually turned up so it would talk faster. Second thing, I mean, buddy, I love you. I really do, nitpicking. I think you're a good guy. Even if you hadn't said what you said, I still think you're a good guy. They'll just, if they really wanted you, they could get you. YouTube can get with your first off, I believe YouTube can track your IP, but even if they couldn't, they could get with the company that did, and they could find you. I mean, so I understand your concern here, and I'm not saying that it's not valid, but I'm saying that if CBS really wanted to come after you, they really could. But they're not going to go through that, just like I doubt they'd go through that to come after you anyway. Honestly, even my channel, which has, 78,000 subscribers, I get about 500,000 to 1 million views a month. I'm so small compared. I'm so small. And the things that I do is it would be such a drain on them that it basically both of us are lawsuit proof. There's like no reason that they'd come for you. I mean, I appreciate it. I really do. I understand where you're coming from. And if it makes you feel better, do it. But it's really, if they wanted to come for you, I think they could.
And so that's in short most of the reasons for that. So I hope I clarified all of it, and also this way at least I know that all my subscribers here really did subscribe because they enjoy listening to my reviews and not just because of all those other types of videos I made. And so at least this way I know that everyone who are watching me here really want to listen to me, and this way I can talk for hours as long as I want without feeling like I'm forcing someone to listen who doesn't want to. So this way only people who really want to listen to me are subscribed, and people who want to see my parodies get to watch them on a totally separate channel. Now let me talk about that other channel and the types of videos I'm doing there and why. Well, it all started many years ago. One of my biggest hobbies in life was to make parody edits of shows, especially Star Trek TNG, which is a show I remember by heart because as a kid I watched it numerous times because I didn't have cable TV, but I did record Star Trek TNG and later Deep Space Nine and the other shows, and I simply rewatched them multiple times as a kid, and I literally remember them by heart. So
I'll say this too. I really do like his, I like his, the stuff he does on Major Grin. I think they're funny. I mean, I don't necessarily agree with all them. Oh, 18,000. You go, brother. Rock it out. Let's see. Like, I think they're funny. You know, in retrospect, I don't know that I want to play them, though. I just disagree with some of the ones that he's done. Like, opposite moral lesson in Star Trek TNG and Lower Decks. This is out of context on both sides, in my opinion. Not both sides. This is out of context on one side. But it doesn't mean that, it doesn't mean that it's not funny or that he doesn't come up with good stuff. Again, his edits here that he does, and you guys should check it out. I'll even link it right here for you guys. They're not bad. It's just, and again, I will say, I think it had a little bit to do with the fact that I just got done doing all my research with the Phantom Menace and We Are Starfleet, and I was so frustrated with people who didn't do their research. And again, that's not to say he didn't, but that may have been where some of that excess frustration came from. But it's gotten to the point where that may be funny, but it's misleading. And let me say this, and I'd be interested to get your guys' opinion on this. I think that at a certain point, there is, it's incumbent upon someone to be aware of the impact that they have on others. Not that necessarily not that necessarily you are responsible for the actions of another, but what you put out there can impact others. And I would include Major Grin. I think Major Grin has gotten to a level, and his stuff is of a quality that when he does stuff, even if it's as a comedy, it's fueling a hatred that is negatively impacting other people. That's one of the problems I have with it. So, like, if you look at opposite moral lesson in Star Trek TNG versus Lower Deck, I'd have to rewatch the rapist entity from TNG Returns. I'd have to rewatch that one. Starfleet betrays and abandons their allies. When you watch this stuff, if it's giving an inaccurate opinion and then it fuels people who are just hateful, and then they use that and are just bolstered by that to go and harass somebody else, it's not your fault that you did that. But if you can not do that, if you can not give that impact, then I think it's incumbent that you take that into account. Again, I know that is horrifically a hot take that some people will disagree with. But that's one of my things with Major Grin. I respect the channel. I think it's funny. And I would counter that doing things that are deceitful is just pushing a narrative that isn't helping anybody. Now, that's just my opinion. Hate is healthy? Sure it is. Yeah. People are throwing around the word hate a little too much. Joseph, buddy, I gotta say, I do think that hate can be overused. I think that it's a very strong word, but I think it's very apt for a lot of the stuff. I can put up something excessively neutral, and I will still get a lot of harassment from both sides. It is a type of hate, I think. Who determines truth in my scenario? Well, that would be the fact. Truth would be, well, hold on, I can tell you right here, good buddy. Truth would be that which is true or in accordance with fact or reality. A fact or belief that is accepted as true. The quality or state of being true. That would be what the definition of true would be. So anyway, let's continue on. Maybe he's trying to do the rage. I don't think so. Maybe he's trying to do the rage mark. Thank you for supporting the channel. I don't think he is, like, at all. I really think it's more just. I think these are his opinions. I just disagree with him. I think that if he reflected on it, he'd see.
So it used to be a whole bunch of channels with the name Green. It was Admiral Green, General Green. That name actually originated, it was supposed to be Colonel Green, like the villain from TOS, which I misspelled originally because of my bad English, and then I kept it like that because I started making more and more comedy videos, and so I thought, oh, Green, that's like a smile, so it fits, and so at first it was Colonel Green, then I promoted myself to General, then demoted myself, and so I had a whole bunch of channels, and the reason, again, is not to get too many strikes on any one channel, to make it all safer eventually, because it was all in one long playlist and I gave numbers to all the videos. CBS eventually got pissed off and they blocked all those videos, and that was the moment when I started making reviews, because I thought to myself that would be a way to protect all those edits I made.
So let me say this. Major Grin is an old school Trek nerd that loves Star Trek. He's just trying to have a consistent universe and good sci-fi. I would suggest if you want consistent universe, don't watch the original series, because within the original series, there's not a lot of consistency. Definitely don't watch The Next Generation. The Next Generation in the first season says that the Klingons are a part of Starfleet, and then a couple of episodes later says that they aren't. So just throw TNG out. DS9's iffy. DS9 will really skate a lot of continuity pieces, or they'll ignore them. They really go off the rails with Mirror Universe, but maybe. Voyager, oh man, don't touch Voyager. Whatever you do, if you can't do continuity, do not do Voyager. Enterprise, obviously not, and then all of New Trek is just garbage. So, I mean, if we're going to worry about continuity, you can't watch the original series, you can't watch The Next Generation, you can't watch... DS9's iffy. I'll let you watch DS9. You can't watch Voyager, and you can't watch any of the new Trek, is what I'd say. What's going on, NitPicking? Hey man, I told you, I put it in there. If you'd like to come on Discord, you can definitely send me an email at james@lorereloaded.com if you're interested in coming on. And yeah, I've already linked and had people. I sent him a comment to let him know. So you're welcome. Come on, man. If you don't want to come on, I completely understand. I don't think you should worry about your accent, though, between you and me. I mean, who the hell can screw anybody who doesn't like your accent? But yeah, if you want to send me an email at James@lorereload.com, I'm welcome to have you on. If you don't want to because of your accent, we don't have to. All right. You said it starts at 5:40? Okay. So to get the full review of this video, go to, I've included in the description, but definitely go here since we're going to skip to 5:40 since that's where it all starts. But there's the video. Let's see. The writers were human, but they did their best. Story still slid through the cracks, but it was still a realistic enough universe to inspire countless scientists. It being a universe, so Wagyu, here's what I'm saying. I have interviewed writers and talked to insiders, and especially looking at Voyager on, but TNG and all the others as well. They put just as much emphasis on telling a good story as they did of being in continuity. The reason why you had a lot of continuity issues in Voyager is because they cared more about the story. So, and I've said this, and I stand by it. There's nothing in Star Trek Discovery, there's nothing in Star Trek Picard, there's nothing in Lower Decks that hasn't been done in Legacy Trek. Discovery, in my opinion, is so, and again, in my opinion, subjectively bad because they took all of the negative aspects of Legacy Trek and just dialed it up to 11, in my opinion. All right, let's get into it. By the way, Nitpicking Nerd, as I stated, you are more than welcome to come on. Just shoot me a message if you'd like. We can get you on.
And I started making the reviews around the time that Star Trek Discovery started airing, and so naturally I reviewed that show first, and some people even on this channel complain and say, why do you only complain about the new Trek and not the old Trek? Well, that was simply because I started making the reviews when these new shows aired. And if I started it earlier, I definitely would have reviewed the old shows as well, and I would have been nitpicking them as well. And that's something I was always doing in my old videos, which were only edits before I started recording myself with my voice. I was still kind of nitpicking them. I made compilations to show all the continuity mistakes, all the times they contradict each other and stuff like that, and I was just making compilations for fun, simply showing all kinds of funny stuff, like all the times that O'Brien's shoulder got hit, or all the times that Worf got beat
Yeah, I'm at 5:40. We're listening to it from there.
up, or all the times Geordi was tortured, or even all kinds of props.
I specifically, I will comment. I will bring it back to normal, but I had it going that way. English Gent, thanks for supporting the channel. Old Trek does have continuity issues, but I do agree that it's not always solid. I'm sorry, Old Trek does have continuity, but I do agree that it's not solid in places. However, there is enough consistency for real-world building to take place. I think that's where the argument begins. As I said, I would say I'm in part 1. Okay, well, let's go. Hold on. There's 2 parts. I thought you hadn't come out with the 2. Ah, there it is. Look at you. All right. Oh, my God. All right, guys. We're going to review this. Give me a quick second, okay? I'll be right back. No one go anywhere, all right? We'll definitely look at this. Just give me a quick second. I didn't know I'm going to be here for 20 minutes. Give me a minute. Here we go. All right, gonna be looking at part 2 right here. Gonna go ahead and share this with you. Did make me cry. NitPicking where you literally put me to tears. You did it. Good job, boys. I know I'm muted. I'm not muted anymore. I know that. Tears. You did.
He did that because, even his title is false, because he named his video Every Major Green Press Each Other, and most people don't even know that it's the same list about the Orville, which is mostly comedy edits. Again, just like my old Star Trek videos, in which I was splicing stuff up simply as a joke. And I also have a playlist called Random Stuff, which is basically everything that doesn't fit in any of those other playlists, and then that's the other playlist, basically. Some of it are joke edits or funny clips I found in movies, and so it's basically random stuff. So that's in brief. I try to be brief, but that's my history on YouTube, and that's the reason why I have 2 main channels, which are kind of separated from each other, and most people don't even know that it's the same channel. So now that I explained all of that, let me now address the criticism that Lore...
Yeah, I'm not religious in the slightest. It's fine. You don't have to. It doesn't bother me. But no, I'm not religious, like, at all.
Made about Major Green channel. And I wish he would have done like a tiny bit more research before he did that, because, even his title is false, because he named his video Every Major Green Video Ever Uploaded.
Okay, so it was hyperbolic. It obviously is not every Major Grin video ever. Okay? That's fine. It's like I'm not mad, but I was obviously being hyperbolic when I said that. One of the other ways you can tell that I was being hyperbolic is I put the atheist as the good Christian man, because as we know, our boy Picard doesn't like Christians at all. And then I had Satan incarnate, and I even put the Melin ballot. Now this I will grant. A nitpicking nerd, I don't know if you're from the United States or not. I think I saw that you said you weren't. If you're not from the United States, you might not get that. That's an inside joke within the U.S. There's a huge thing going on with mail-in ballots. So I was really making a joke more than anything there. But yeah. But that's fair. I mean, it's fine. Maybe my humor's really dry, so maybe I need to work on that. I'll take that. How could you say you're not religious? Surely you belong to the Church of Q and his chief priests. That's true. I do. I believe in Q. I believe in Q as much as I believe in any other.
And he's making fun of those types of videos in which I made comparisons between old Trek and new Trek, but that's obviously not every Major Green video, as I just showed you in the playlists. I had so much other kind of stuff, and that's just one of the playlists. So there were a lot of videos like that, but hardly every Major Green video is like that. And apparently he got pissed off at one of my recent ones about Lower Decks, which was not a completely serious criticism again.
Okay, so pissed off maybe a little bit hyperbolic. I will say that if I was pissed off at anything, it was the research that I had been doing when it comes to the Phantom Menace as well as We Are Starfleet. That, I'll admit, that may have bled over. If I really hated it or I hated you, I just wouldn't give you any time. I wouldn't give the Major Grin channel. I didn't know Major Grin was nitpicking, but I would not have given any time to the channel. There are channels that really anger me that I don't give any time to because I don't want to.
Lower Decks is a parody, so I don't think it should be taken that seriously. I don't think we really should be comparing the continuity mistakes and all of that because it's a parody. But I still did that because I knew it would be funny, and most of my audience there seems to love all those videos, but it's not a completely serious criticism, especially because it's a cartoon parody of Star Trek. And I don't hate it, by the way. I made a review of it in which I explained why I don't hate it, but I still think it's funny to make those comparisons simply because it's interesting and comedic. That's the number one reason for why I make videos.
I've already addressed this before. I don't disagree. I mean, it's fair to say, hey, I was just having some fun with it. It's a cartoon, just relax. I still think that Major Grin, you're a respected person within the community. Your subscribers are fairly decent, very respectable, I think, more than most. And I think that there is that, again, we have to consider the impact we have on others. Not that it's your fault, not that you should, not that you have to, not that you're bad if you do it the way you're doing it. It's just something to consider.
Explained. And the second reason is I do find it interesting. I think, if it can bring up a discussion about those issues, then what's wrong with that? So I show clips of something similar in the different Star Trek shows and the different attitudes in every show, and then we can debate about it, and different people will have different opinion on which approach is better, how they approach the Prime Directive, for example, which was always a controversial topic, but recently it became kind of more polarized because of the different attitude in the different shows. And it is kind of a continuity mistake, because if it's supposed to be in the same universe, then shouldn't they be following kind of the same rules and not keep changing it every...
They don't do it. The original series Prime Directive is not the same as the Next Generation's Prime Directive. DS9 doesn't even care about... DS9 went out of their way to break the Prime Directive. That was done on purpose to show that they weren't TNG. I mean, Janeway is literally a murderer when it comes to this. So, when you're looking at quote-unquote Prime Directive, no series does the Prime Directive the same way. Now, doing comparisons between them, I don't necessarily disagree with that. But if it's done in a way that is actually discussing it in a way that is fair, I think, is where I'm going with it. And maybe that's where we disagree.
Time. So I think making videos like that, showing comparisons, will simply stir up the debate about it, and debate is a good and healthy thing in my opinion. So I don't know why you're so pissed off about it. I think maybe he considers Major Green as part of the fandom menace, which he keeps complaining about, because he loved the lower decks, and yet the fandom menace channels keep attacking it. And I agree kind of with Lore more, because...
Okay. I'm glad you agree with me. I did consider your channel a fandom menace, if not at the least fandom menace sympathetic. I did consider it a fandom menace channel. Something being fandom menace isn't necessarily bad. Now, I have a lot of problems with the fandom menace at this point. I think that the group has largely lost its way. But that doesn't mean that someone who is fandom menace individually is necessarily negative or bad. There are good fandom menace channels out there. A few out there. So I did consider your channel fandom menace. That's not why I did the thing that I did, but I will not anymore, since, as you stated. But again, I complain about the fandom menace just like I complain about We Are Starfleet. Both of them are pretty negative, because both of them have lost the way of what they were supposed to be, and both of them largely only have in-groups. And that's just the truth. That's just the way it is. Of course, that's how organizations work. Organizations create in-groups, right? So let's continue.
Even though, I did find a lot of things in the new show annoying, but I don't hate all of it, and some things in it I actually like. But the fandom menace, they will never admit anything which is good in any of their recent shows. They only complain.
Preach it, brother.
They barely talk about the things that are actually good. So
We Are Starfleet is the exact opposite. They will never admit that there are negative things or that Discovery is dog crap.
I'm actually closer to the position of Lore Reloaded about the new shows. So I think maybe he got pissed off at that video because he saw it as an unfair criticism of the show. Which
wasn't pissed off, but I did think it was unfair.
Did like, and so maybe that's the reason why he got angry at that video, and then he made his critique of the Major Green channel. And let me now watch that video again and say what I think about it.
Let's do it, buddy. All right, here we go. It's me watching him watching me. All right, are you ready? All right. One in the chat if you're ready. Before I get into it, though, I want to say, wait. So Mackenzie, and this isn't necessarily towards you necessarily, Mackenzie, but this is that thought. Wait, Major Grin actually makes serious videos. Isn't he joking? Whether the video is a joke or not, it can still be deceitful, and it can still lead people astray. And to your point, and to what he just said too, if I have a problem with it, I can simply criticize it. It doesn't mean he can't or shouldn't make it, or that he shouldn't have fun with it. It can still just be wrong, you know? All right.
He talks about the old track pushing Judeo-Christian values, and I don't think that was always the case. In fact,
It wasn't. I was being sarcastic. I'm sorry. My I'll go back so you guys can hear that a little bit. My humor is here's what I was saying with that. What I was saying is that I do feel like TNG went out of its way to be more towards the audience that it was at, which is Judeo-Christian, largely at that time. So I think that, and you generally had like the hero, the guy who stands up and such as that. Now, I don't think the characters were Judeo-Christian. They quite obviously weren't. And there were things that they did that conservative audiences would hate. I do still think they pandered to them. So that's why I said that. And again, going back, like your videos are joking, so are mine sometimes, right?
Judeo-Christian values, and I don't think that was always the case. In fact, the old track was very often anti-religious, pushing the
TNG is
exact
anti-religious
opposite
too.
messages and showing all kinds of what-if scenarios, such as what if the old gods or devils were actually aliens, which the ancient people encountered, and that's what's created the religion and stuff like that. So I disagree with the idea that the old track shows were pushing Judeo-Christian values, even though we can say the morality itself, which, religion was invented by people, and people had a certain morality, which even till this day is the same morality. And also,
We agree. We agree. I don't like getting into it. I don't like breaking it down, but I believe that morality today that we do, whether you're Christian or not, is something that is ingrained into us because we're a social species, and that's something that we learn. That's how you thrive. The species that got the quote-unquote right morals are the ones that continue to thrive. The species that went with the wrong, or the not species, but the tribes, let's not say species, the tribes that got the right morals are the ones that continue to thrive and continue to advance. The tribes that got the wrong morals ultimately ended up destroying themselves. And some people decided to put a faith around that, and some people just go with the flow. That's what I believe. Now, I could be wrong. Maybe there is a God that has instilled these morals within every one of us. There is a God-sized hole in every one of our hearts. I'm just saying what I believe. So you and I believe the exact same thing when it comes to that nitpicking.
if that old morality tale, morality message was a good one, it doesn't matter how you call it, like what's wrong with that. I think it's one of the good things about the old track shows, that it was pushing all kind of good messages, either, encouraging skepticism.
I think the old series again was very subtle in its attacks. I think it was pretty open. They had churches on the Enterprise. People were still religious on the Enterprise. I agree that if you see the subtext or you look at what they were saying, the plots, sometimes it was anti-religious. I think TNG was much more blatant about that. But there's nothing wrong with that. I agree.
A healthy scientific view of things, or just a political idea, which is a moral idea. What's so bad about that? And I didn't watch all of his videos, but I think I remember he said that he is religious, he's a Christian.
No.
So even if those ideas come from
slightest.
that, wouldn't he like that? So what exactly is...
I was a Christian for 23 years of my life. No, longer than that. 30 years of my life, maybe? Maybe 32. A long time I was a Christian. I was a pretty open Christian, laid back. I would still believe. The difference between what I believe then and what I believe now is I just don't believe that there's necessarily a creator. Back then I believe that I did believe that morals came from a God, but you having different morals didn't make you a bad person. But I did believe morals came from a God.
His problem, and he admits in this video, like he makes a parody of the Major Green videos which show comparisons, and he shows himself as someone from old track who pushes those old values, and then a clip he kind of shows himself with something on his head. I guess it's supposed to be hair or something, and then it's someone from the new track.
I just needed a way. It's insulation. So if you guys are wondering on the ever major, it's insulation. I just needed something to associate myself with a different character, so I just threw insulation on my head.
Which is doing or saying something completely the opposite of those values. And he's making all of this video as if he's mocking those types of videos. But he never explains like what exactly is wrong with that. What is wrong about showing examples of opposite moral messages from the old track versus the new track? If he's a religious Christian and he's saying those old ones were pushing Judeo-Christian values, and I say that's not even the case at all, because a lot of times Star Trek was pushing atheist messages, like skepticism of religion and stuff like that was very often in the old Trek shows, and I think that's the correct position, by the way. I personally am an atheist. I'm not a militant atheist, I don't hate religion and all of that, but I do agree with Star Trek, with the whole Star Trek vision of things, of the scientific approach and not believing anything just because you saw something. Maybe what you saw was something else, not what you think.
So let's see. Let's take a look. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I was just having an off day. Here we go.
What do you want us to do? Walk in there and tell them everything that happened?
We might as well turn in our uniforms and start packing our bags.
Are we ready for that?
But a lie of a mission is still a lie. The first duty of every Starfleet officer is to the truth, whether it's scientific truth, or historical truth, or personal truth. It is the guiding principle on which Starfleet is based. Now, if you can't find it within yourself to stand up and tell the truth about what happened, you don't deserve to wear that uniform.
All right, so that's the strongest P7. I'm gonna split it. Well, we'll continue. Maybe. I hope I don't get hit with a copyright. I guess we'll find out.
I'm gonna tell them what happened.
You're gonna turn us in. He got to you, didn't he? Picard told you some big story about duty and honor. Well, it must have been a pretty good speech to make you turn your back on your friends.
We're Starfleet cadets. We have a duty to the truth.
What about your duty to your friends?
Thank you, Captain.
You knew what you had to do. I just made sure that you listened to yourself.
Keep an eye on Ensign Mariner. If she breaks protocol, I want a full report.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I made sure that some humble farmers who can't afford to wait for Starfleet bureaucracy to notice them.
What about Mariner? Did she follow protocol?
Yeah, I think so. We spent the whole day just adjusting the subspace comm array.
This says you came back covered in bite marks wearing an alien frock. But she had nothing to do with that?
You know, I don't remember much.
Nothing insubordinate?
Not that I saw.
But a lie of a mission is still a lie. Now, if you can't find it within yourself to stand up and tell the truth about what happened, you don't deserve to wear that uniform.
I have some problems with that. It's... What exactly is the opposite moral lesson? It says opposite moral lesson in Star Trek TNG versus Lower Decks. Loyalty to friends versus to Starfleet or truth. He wasn't being loyal to a friend. He was doing the right thing. This is my problem with these videos. This empowers people who haven't watched Lower Decks and go off and watch Midnight's Edge and just assume that everything they say is God's honest. As atheists, you should understand how people will completely just listen to something and just assume it's true. The message of this was that you should do what's morally right. And that's what happened in both of those. They did what was morally right. The captain on the Ceratos right now is a bad guy. The, what the hell is his name? Whatever, the pilot, the head pilot guy, who went into Voyager, I forget his name. He's the bad guy. Both of those are wanting you to go against morals. They were both telling the message. You just put clips out of context right next to each other. Now, again, I like you nitpicking. I think you're a good guy, but just like Portnoy says, you cannot compare the two directly. And anybody who is a fandom menace and will just go on to Midnight's Edge will come here, see this, say, hey, you're right. You know what? Let's go harass some people on Twitter. That's not your fault, but it is frustrating. It is out of context. And I will say this. And I like you nitpicking, but if you watch the entire episode, you know that you put it in there and it was out of context. You know it. There's no way you can't. It is so clear if you watch the episode. You could not have put that together if you watched the episode, both of those episodes, and not know that you're doing it out of context, that you're being deceptive. Now again, this is passionate, but this isn't mad. I'm not. See, you think I'm pissed off. I'm actually not. I'm passionate about it. And I like you nitpicking. It's not personal. I disagree. I wasn't pissed off when I did that other video. I really wasn't, and I'm not pissed off now. I just disagree. And I do think it's deceptive. Hey, I've gotten that way too. I've done stuff that's deceptive as well. It's human nature, I think. Especially if you're really just trying to compare them and you're not really thinking about it. So I'll say this. I could see putting this together, even watching the episode, and not really thinking about it. That's just my opinion. Now, people who have seen it, maybe they disagree with me, you know? How is Grin responsible for other people's behavior? I literally said that he's not. Cadet Nicholas Lacrano, that was the name I was looking at. And I've said it again, but I'm going to assume that you weren't here, Valkyrie. I'll say it again. You're not responsible for someone else's actions, but when you get to a point where you're respected in a community, you at least need to know you have an impact on the world. I think it's worth thinking about. Doesn't make you wrong if you continue to do it. Wildfire is such gatekeeping. I challenge you, Wildfire. What's my gatekeeping, buddy? Come on, walk me through it. Anyway, again, it's not personal. I like nitpicking. You guys should go check them out. This is just a disagreement.
So I'm all for healthy skepticism, and the old Star Trek shows did promote that. But let's talk about the morality itself. Like, I often showed clips of some kind of moral message in the old Trek versus the complete opposite message in a new Trek in a similar scenario. And so what's wrong with that? What's wrong about showing those different clips and then having a debate and a discussion about those topics? And so what's exactly is wrong with that? So he seems to be mocking that without explaining what's wrong with making that comparison. Later in the video he says the shows are different, so what? Okay, I'm not saying a show cannot be different. All I'm saying is that I think the old Trek was better in those specific things of the morality tells. It was much better.
Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and address right here. Major Grin just said that he showed them to he did them because he thought that they were better in the way they showed the morality. Now, if I go looking at what Goo has said, what Wildfire has said, what Valkyrie has said, it would seem like that they're comparing it. That's what they took from it. However, Major Grin just stated that his impact, what he was trying to do, was just to show the different moralities in the way they did. Now, you're putting them right next to each other, so I'm not completely sure on that. Maybe there'll be more to it after this. But I'm just here to drop a like and lurk. What's up, Sci-Fi Nation? You're saying that making this video, he is influencing others, so therefore he shouldn't make a video at all. Yeah, Wildfire, that's exactly what I said. That is exactly verbatim. That's what I said, guys.
In the old Trek compared to the new Trek. And I think, I grew up on TNG, and I think that had a positive influence on me. I think Star Trek provided good kind of thought experiments and good role models to kids to watch, and the new Trek doesn't do that. And that's part of my actual criticism of the new Star Trek shows, that it doesn't do that, or even at worst case scenario, it does the complete opposite message, which is terrible. And so...
All right. Black and Brick and Tire. That's not what he said at all. So I just said that Nitpicking Nerd specifically said that he's showing it next to each other because he feels like old Trek did it better. Now Brick and Tire said that's not what he said at all. Let's go back together. I don't want. Okay, everybody, just stop typing. It's just me and Brick and Tire. All right, it's just us, buddy. It's just us. No one else is watching. Here we go. Let's go back.
Star Trek provided good kind of thought experiments and good role in those specific things of the morality tells. It was much better in the old Trek compared to the new Trek. And I think, I grew up on TNG, and I think that had a positive influence on me. I think Star Trek provided good kind of thought experiments and good role models to kids to watch, and the new Trek doesn't do that, and that's part of...
Okay, so Brick and Tire. In that, so what he just said is specifically was he's comparing it because they're all bad, and it's not because of what I just said, right?
My actual criticism of the new Star Trek shows that it doesn't do that, or even at worst case scenario, it does the complete opposite message, which is terrible. And so that was the point of some of those videos. I'm not sure what exactly is his problem with that. Maybe he just got tired of so many videos being about that, so that's okay, I guess. So he's making a parody. He says in the first part, I'm a legacy character saying this or that, and then suddenly he appears with something on his head.
By the way, Nitpicking, you're welcome to use my stuff anytime. You can use my videos at any point. First off, I couldn't stop you. This is quite clearly fair use. But if you want to use my stuff, you can. You just play it.
And saying, I'm someone from the new Trek, which is doing or saying the complete opposite. So he never denies the fact that the new characters in the new Star Trek shows are actually less moral than the old ones. He never actually denies that. And then he says, basically, you complain about our lack of morality, but then you go and watch Pornhub right after this. And I fail to see the point he's trying to make. First of all, I don't consider pornography to be necessarily evil or immoral.
Oh, I don't at all either. I'm just saying the people that... so here's my point on that. The people who... Not all. Obviously, hashtag not all. The people who don't like Lower Decks, they don't like Picard, they don't like Discovery. I don't like Discovery or Picard either. Some of them will sit here and talk about how horrible this is, how evil this is, how this goes against the standards. It goes against, you know, the strong hero who is supposed to be there and be above the rest, who doesn't drink, who doesn't do drugs, who doesn't do blah, blah, blah. And my point was... And not necessarily you. Again, I was more taking shots at some fandom menace in that. I'll grant that. Is that they will sit here and talk about how horrible these things are, and then go to something that would be considered a vice by those standards, right? Porn is excellent. I'm a huge fan of porn. I think that anyone who legally can watch porn should watch porn. I think anyone who can legally be a part of porn should be a part of porn. I absolutely love the hell out of it, all right? So you and me, we're brothers when it comes to that. I don't think I'll ever watch it with you, but hey, on the bright side, I endorse your ability. I am for big porn, okay? But what I was trying to say, and again, maybe it was unfair because it was a criticism of your video, which means it could come off as a criticism of you, was that people who sit there and talk about how it lacked all this morality are immoral people too. That's all I was trying to say.
I do think in some cases it is. Obviously, if it has anything to do with, minors, or if it has violence or a rape or exploitation of women, you can view it as evil. But if it's just, some kind of homemade video of two willing partners, I don't really see anything necessarily immoral with that. And what does any of that have to do with actual Star Trek videos, which are not about any of that? So it's like a totally strawman argument. Who
I don't think
said anything about pornography at all until you brought it up? And it seems to be just kind of attack against the audience, like you, the audience, you dare to criticize the immorality of the new Star Trek characters, and then you go and watch pornography.
You're damn right. Not necessarily you, but absolutely. Someone who's going to sit there and say, I can't believe Kurtzman made Star Trek this because it's supposed to be heroes and whatever. You better be above reproach yourself. You're damn right it was a criticism of those people, and I will say it to anybody's face. Anybody that disagrees, let me know. I'll give you my Discord.
As if pornography is necessarily evil or immoral, so I think it's totally illogical point he's trying to make.
By God, we're not going to talk about all the times that Star Trek glorified rape before Disco Trek, are we?
Okay, this is another point I totally disagree with, because he basically says the old Star Trek promoted or glorified rape.
100%,
and then, on the
buddies.
screen he shows names of episodes. TNG is The Child, Enterprise is Unexpected, and Cisco with Mirror Universe Dax.
Yep.
And these are things that he talked about in some of his videos, but I don't think in any of these situations the Star Trek episode was actually glorifying what happened in that episode.
You're right. All right, so let's go back and let's address that criticism, shall we? All right, where is it? You're right. It didn't glorify it. All right, TNG's The Child. Deanna Troi unwillingly is forced to have a baby in which she somehow magically loves the child, and it's made to be a great thing. Someone against their will. Enterprise is unexpected. A rape victim is mocked. He's mocked by the captain. He's mocked by the XO. He's mocked by the rest of the crew. Cisco with Mirror Universe. Mirror Universe has sex with Cisco. She thinks it's Mirror Universe Cisco, but it's not. It's regular Cisco. She finds out, and Cisco makes a joke about it. Mirror Universe Dax had sex with did not consent to having sex with Cisco. Cisco made a joke about it. If you don't like the word glorifying, then we can change that. We can say made light of. It is absolutely horrific. It is some of the worst things I have ever seen on TV. It is the antithesis of Star Trek. In TNG's The Child, they tried to do something light, and that was horrible. In Enterprise's Unexpected, they made light of a rape victim. And Cisco is, in effect, a rapist who mocks his victim. This is how I look at those. These are horrific things, and you have never put them in your videos. They are things that they are the antithesis of what Star Trek and Starfleet is supposed to be about. Now, here's my thing that I'll say. I don't think the writers ever intended to do with this what happened. I don't think that at all. I don't think the TNG's The Child writers, Enterprise's Unexpected Childs, or Cisco's writers ever meant that. I think they'd be horrified to realize the inferences that they did. But that's the way it is. And I would say this. I would say this too. I forgot what I was going to say. I looked over here and saw some comments. I would say that the new Trek, some of the things that they have happened that they never intended for it to happen. Like in Discovery, it's worse than anything I've ever done here, right? In Discovery, they have forced brutalization and mocking. For most of the show, we think it's to a victim. I don't think they intended that necessarily. And it's worse than any of these examples, but that was never brought up. What's up, Terrence? You just now joining? What's up, Sydney? So yeah, and again, nitpicking. If you're still listening, hope you still are. I just disagree with you. I'm not pissed off. This is just the way I see it. You know? Laura again asked why the actions, the incidents are justified in lower decks, because from clips without context, they don't look that good. Yeah, the Volcrox, you need to watch the entire episode to understand why. That's why he shouldn't do it. Thank you. This is the Volcrox. Lore, I again ask you why the actions of the ensign are justified in lower decks, because from the clips without context, they don't look that good. That's why I find it deceptive. That's why it's deceptive, because out of context, it doesn't look that good. It's like 3 a.m. here where he lives. And that's just my... The Volcrox, it is the entire... I'm not going to do the spoilers for the episode, but if you want, you can go to NordVPN or any of the other VPNs. I don't want to. Rest in peace, my earphones. I'm sorry.
Glorified rape, and then on the screen...
Actually, I think... Can you watch the first... No, you can't watch the second episode.
He shows names of episodes. TNG's The Child, Enterprise's Unexpected, and Cisco with Mirror Universe Dax. And these are things that he talked about in some of his videos, but I don't think in any of these situations the Star Trek episode was actually glorifying what happened in that episode.
Okay, if glorifying... I'm sorry, I've already went over this, but if glorifying is the wrong word, I would say that it made light of. Maybe glorifying was too strong a word.
So let's start with the last one. The one in which Cisco was in the Mirror Universe, and then Mirror Dax approached him and she thought that's her Cisco, and he had to play along because he was on a mission. He had to pretend to be that other Cisco, and then he slept with her so that she won't be suspicious it's not really him.
Nailed it, guys. Nailed it. All right, so here's what it is. Major Grin solved the problem. All right. All right, you guys ready? Here we go. No, hold on. I want to do full screen for this. Hold on. Consent is unnecessary if you're a spy. If you're a spy and it's going to blow your cover, consent is unnecessary. So all you guys have to do is become a part of the CIA, become a spy, go to any specific country you want to, and then you can have sex without consent if it's going to blow your cover. Done. Solved it. Pack it up, boys. Pack it up.
And Lore Reloaded is saying that that was Cisco basically raping her because it was under false pretenses.
I have specifically went out of my way to say that it was without consent. Now, that does have a specific connotation, but I specifically have said without consent.
Well, I don't think that's as easy as that because technically
it's not rape. It's not rape. Wildfire. It's not rape. If it's not rape as long as it's for your cover. As long as it's for your cover, you can have sex with people without consent. It's not rape. Nailed it. Nailed it, boys.
Mirror universe people are the same people. It's basically like an old.
They're not. No, are twins the same people? That's going to be my response. Are twins the same people? So let's say this person marries someone who has a twin. And then that person's spouse leaves and the twin comes and has sex. And the person thinks that they're having sex with their spouse, but they're not. They're with the twin. Biologically, it's the same person. This is the exact same thing. Same argument.
Alternate timeline in which they grew up in different events. And they are very different people, but technically, at least biologically, they are the same person. So it's not exactly the same as being. It's not like pretending to be your own twin, to sleeping with the wife of the twin.
It is. What is a twin? It's biological. That's exactly what a twin is. What the hell do you think twins are? One of two children or animals born at the same birth, forming or being one or a pair born at one birth, linked or combined. Definition of twin. Born with one other or as a pair at one birth, my twin, brother, twin girls. Made up of two similar, related, or connected members or parts. Double. Paired in a close or necessary relationship. Having or consisting of two identical units. It is. It's the exact same thing.
It's more like if you went back in time and you slept with your ex-girlfriend while she thought you were still together, but you are from the future in which you're not. So it's more like, in that movie, Time Traveler's Wife, when he went back in time and he cheated with his own wife from himself. And so that's more like that. And so that's not exactly rape.
I disagree.
And also you can argue, moral shadiness. Cisco always was a little bit morally shady.
That I'll agree with.
Because he always wanted to complete his mission or to achieve his goals no matter what, even if he has to do some necessary evil, and we can criticize that. I'm all for that. But calling that rape and saying the episode is glorifying that is really kind of far-fetched.
I will grant that glorifying may be too much. I'd say made light of.
As for Enterprise's Unexpected, I guess that was the episode in which Tucker got pregnant by an alien, and they made a joke out of it, and no one ever said that he got raped.
Not only did he get pregnant by an alien, the alien had sex without him knowing what it is. So, and this is it's really easy. Take a person who doesn't have the ability to understand what sex is or the consequences of it, regardless of whatever. So maybe they're not mentally all there, or they're not old enough to understand what's going on. This other person has sex with them and they get pregnant, and then they're mocked. That is the plot of the episode. I really I'm really passionate about this because I do believe it's absolutely wrong. And it's something that's not pointed out ever. If you're someone who hates New Trek, you don't ever talk about these horrific things. And again, I'm not pissed off. I just disagree. And you know, here's the thing. Even if at the end of this, if Nitpicking Nerd was to come on, I don't think he wants to come on. But if Nitpicking Nerd was to come on and he said, you know, I disagree with it. I think it was lighthearted. The episode and the plot trigger me, but I'm okay with you disagreeing with me on it. I'm not going to get mad at you because you disagree with me on it. But I honestly, I couldn't not talk about that episode and not get triggered. It triggers me. It really does. And it's not the person doing it. It's not, you know, Major Grin or Nitpicking Nerd. It's just, I have a huge issue with the way it's presented. That's just me.
Basically, well, that alien said that she didn't think that can happen.
Unexpected was a simple failure to communicate. That hardly equates to rape. All right. So you have person A who doesn't understand what sex is or the consequences of it. Person B talks this person into sex and they get pregnant. Do you think a judge is going to say, and this is their defense, what is the judge going to say? We'll let them say it. What is the judge going to do? Where was it? Where are you? Nope, you're not getting away from me. Not this time. Judge, what happened between me and person A was a simple failure to communicate. It hardly equates to rape. I should be let off the hook. Do you really think a judge is going to be okay with that? Like, really? By the way, this is getting demonetized to hell and back.
To him, and also, you know, Tucker was a willing participant. And I do think that alien was being immoral in not explaining it to him exactly what they're doing.
Agreed. When you have sex with someone and you don't explain it to them and you don't explain the consequences, that is immoral. Agreed.
She didn't realize was sexual. But you can also kind of dismiss that as a mistake by the alien.
Oh my God.
I guess people making fun of him in the end was kind of immoral, but those were Klingons, I believe, if I remember correctly.
It wasn't
so
Klingons,
no
it was the crew. The crew, the captain and the XO mocked the living shit out of him.
Glorifying that and saying that was a good thing that happened. If anything, that was the opposite message, that you should be careful where you stick your fingers and all of that. So
yeah,
not
that
really
was the
glorifying.
Joke. Why equate modern judiciary to Trek? Do you think, okay, let's not do that. All right, so let's say this. Let's say that we're in the Federation, and person A doesn't know what happens when person B has sex with them. For whatever reason, they cognitively do not understand what happens when they have sex. Person A is impregnated by person B, who does understand what happens when you have sex. Person B then goes before a judge within the Federation and says, Judge, this was simply a failure to communicate. I did not explain to person A that when we did this, they would get pregnant. Do you really think they'd get off then? We can do it in the 24th century. Make it stop. Terrence, you don't have to be here.
And as for TNG's The Child, in which...
I agree, Guelo. Someone who doesn't know what a thing is cannot consent to that thing. I agree.
That energy entity flew into Troy and then she got pregnant. Wasn't that whole story kind of like a parody of the conception of Jesus in the Christian? So not really glorifying. And as for TNG's The Child, in which that energy entity flew into Troy and then she got pregnant, wasn't that whole story kind of like a parody of the conception of Jesus in the Christian Bible story? So if you, Lore, is a Christian believer, is that what you think about your own Bible story? Do you think that was a rape? Did God...
Yes, just so we're all aware. Yes, it is. If someone doesn't know what's happening to them and they can't consent to it, then that it is what it is. Now let's put on my Christian hat and let's say that I was a Christian and I still believed it in the way that I did now. My counter to that is that, first off, I didn't know that it was based off of the Christian illusion. I've never heard anything like that, but let's assume that it was. The problem is that entity is not God, and so that entity did not have the ability to do it. God, the creator of all things. As a Christian, I would say God, the creator of all things, can make and create life in any way that he wants to. It's like The Sims, right? And so they're on two different levels. That entity was not a god and did not have the same as God would have. So I didn't see the illusion. I didn't know that. That's interesting, though. If that's true, that's really interesting.
God raped Mary to give birth to Jesus, because it's basically the same thing in that episode. So how can you claim to be a believing Christian who thinks all of those stories are good and at the same time complain about Star Trek's version of a similar event?
I don't think they're good, buddy. We agree.
So I'm not so sure how you can do that, but I do acknowledge that episode had a form of rape in it, even though you can argue it wasn't exactly sex. It's not a sex act, even though I would acknowledge that was a form of rape in that episode, and yet the episode never said it was a good thing, even though she did love the child when it was born, but if any...
That's a little... no, it made it seem like a real good thing. She was really happy. She loved the child. It was okay. Everything was honky-dory. I don't know.
I think that episode was, I guess, kind of a criticism of that religious story. So if you think that episode of TNG was glorifying rape, then what do you think about your own religion's story about a very similar event? So I would be happy to hear your response to that point. And also, I'm not sure...
Again, as a Christian, I would say it's not apples to apples. I'd say God. I would say that even within that universe, that entity is not God. That universe has not established that entity as God, and we know that there are more powerful entities than that, like the Q or the prophets and things like that. So even as a Christian who, even if I was to act like I was a Christian again, who would assume and looked at the stories in a lot more positive light, I would also say that... there's no evidence that entity knew that Deanna would be okay with it, even in the end if she was, whereas God would. God knows everything. So that would be, again, I agree with you actually, because we're both atheists, but if I was a Christian, that's probably what I'd think.
Sure why you bring any of this up, because you seem to imply that the old Trek was immoral to defend the new Trek, and yet in the new Trek, in Star Trek Discovery, we had the rape of Ash Tyler by the Klingon woman Larel, or how I like to call her, L'Oreal, especially after she grew her hair out, and that was probably the most graphic rape we ever saw in all of Star Trek.
Amen, brother. I even brought that up beforehand. I agree. Discovery did it worse. Absolutely. 100%. Discovery is horrific. My kids cannot watch Discovery till they're 16 or 17, if ever.
And after we find out that Ash Tyler was actually Vok, who was the lover of L'Oreal, and we find out that it wasn't actually rape, that's how he remembers it, but actually it wasn't. So isn't that kind of forgiving the rape scene? Isn't that kind of saying, oh, you thought that was rape? Actually it wasn't. Actually it was all out of love, and it also produced that child, which helped them out in season 2. So that was all a good thing, and so...
I do think that's different. I do think that... ultimately, that act was consensual. None of the others were. And that's the problem. They weren't consensual. He remembers that act as not being consensual. And that's a huge deal. Shouldn't have done that. That's horrific. That's bad writing. For Star Trek. But at the end of the day, it was consensual. The other ones weren't.
Isn't that glorifying rape in a way? So what exactly is your point? You're saying that the old Trek was more immoral because of all those instances of someone having sex or being impregnated by someone without their consent?
I never said that. What I said is that I said they've done things that are as bad as what you see in Discovery, but you never put it in your videos. All you ever do is attack new Trek. By your own admission in this very video, that's all you do. Now, you do that because that, new Trek came out, and that's when you started doing your stuff. Fair enough. And it doesn't matter. You have every right to do that. But old Trek, it has as immoral things. That was my only point.
When the exact same thing happened in Star Trek Discovery in a much more graphic way, and so they are equal in those things, and so I'm not sure what your point is.
I hate you, Sci-Fi Nation.
Okay, now he says that people are trained to hate the new Trek characters.
They are.
I guess he means for no reason, but I just talked about all the reasons. The clips I was showing.
I have said this before. People get on this hate train. There are people who, oh my God. Come in. What's up, beautiful?
Can I have a popsicle?
Why do you always do that when I'm online? See, I feel like you do it when I'm online so that I can't say no.
I think you're gonna say no.
I can't say no because you're sitting here asking for it in front of all these people.
I say yes.
You get you a popsicle. Just make sure your sister gets it, okay?
Okay. My always sister gets it and picks out a new one.
Yeah, but I mean, get whatever color you want. Just let her cut it.
Okay.
Love you.
Love you. And I'm also good at cutting really fast.
Okay, let her do it though, okay?
Okay. Oh wait, I forgot.
Love you.
Love you.
I only have daughters. That's not my son.
So they are equal in those things, and so I'm not sure what your point is. Okay, now he says that people are trained to hate the new Trek
There it
character.
is. They are. They are, man. People, all they do is listen to Midnight's Edge or And Forgive Me, Nerdrotic, or any of the others, and they don't actually watch the episodes, and they just assume it's right. I have multiple videos where people come on and say things that are just blatantly false. They do. That is a huge part of internet culture. Our entire human nature is to be tribal. It doesn't matter if you're right. It's just being a part of the tribe. There are so many people that will come on and say blatantly wrong things about New Trek. I agree. There is a lot of reasons not to like New Trek. There's reasons not to like Discovery. There are reasons not to like Picard. There are reasons not to like Lower Decks. But people will simply hate on it because channels tell them to. They will not watch it. They will be definitively wrong. And then they come on my channel and they call me a shill and they say that I suck and they say that my channel is going downstream, even though every metric says opposite. But hey, who cares? They can say whatever they want, right? Because 4chan is telling them what to believe. It is frustrating. It is absolutely frustrating. And it happens a lot. 1 out of every 5 or 1 out of every 6 is someone saying something wrong about a New Trek and attacking me for it. And it's really frustrating because I have to sit there and defend New Trek when I generally don't like doing that. I don't like defending Discovery or Picard because I think they're subpar pieces of work. Lower Decks I actually like. But I have to sit there and say, no, Discovery isn't X, it's actually Y, you idiot. And then they come back and say, oh, look, it's the new shill. There are Reddit posts. I found a Reddit post today attacking me because of something that was said on Midnight's Edge. Midnight's Edge says it was X. Midnight's Edge is wrong. But apparently, because Midnight's Edge says it was X, I say it was Y. Fuck it, let's go on Reddit and just attack him. Because if I go and do it to his face, he's going to make me look like an idiot. So I'm going to run to Reddit because that's what you do. If you're a coward, you post on Reddit. It is just frustrating. See, Laura, now you get it. 4D chess. It's what all 4chan's plans to make you defend New Trek. That is excellent. What would you want to debate, Sci-Fi Nation?
Characters. I guess he means for no reason, but I just talked about all the reasons. The clips I was showing, all those examples I gave were of direct reasons for what's wrong in the new Star Trek shows, and yet
except they were dishonest. I just sat there and showed how that. If you haven't seen it, I just sat there and I talked about how it's dishonest. By the way, anyone on Midnight's Edge is always welcome on this channel, and I'll be more than happy to walk on to Midnight's Edge. Never going to happen. Never going to happen because the other side won't do it. More than welcome. What's up, Otaku Panda? My favorite Let's Player is in the house.
he doesn't address those actual points, those actual reasons of all the problems in the new Star Trek shows. Instead, he simply says, we are automatically hating the new Trek shows without any reason, which is not the case.
Okay. So for you, nitpicking, I'll agree that you don't hate it with no issue. I did associate you with Fandom Menace, so I would have been more likely to say that. Now that you say you're not with Fandom Menace, I believe you. I really take people at their words when they say they are or not with something. Plus, now that I know it's you, because when I did that, something you guys, I had no idea Major Grand was nitpicking nerd. No idea. But had I known that, as nitpicking nerd, I never would have thought that.
I would like him to respond to the actual points of the videos he's criticizing and not just make these assumptions that it's hating the new Trek for no reason. It's also funny that he brought up rape as a complaint about the old Star Trek show, and he specifically named the TNG episode The Child, in which an energy entity went into Troy to impregnate her, as some sort of a complaint against the old Trek show. And yet, in the second episode of the Lower Decks, we also have an energy creature which is very similar to that, also penetrating people against their will, and so...
No, this is... Okay. The problem here in Nitpicking Nerd is that you and I disagree with what the events that actually occurred. I don't think that the entity actually entered into the captain. I think the entity lost all of its power. It was so weak that the captain destroyed it. I think you have it on your channel, so let's go take a look. Let's take a look together. That's a part of the problem, is I think that, and this again could just be you and me interpreting differently a specific video, what happened in that video. But and we're gonna talk about this one too. But where is it? Did you take it down? Oh, wrong channel. Wrong channel. Hold on. We're gonna... By the way, the Mary Sue problem in Star Trek Lower Decks, there is no Mary Sue. She's not a Mary Sue. Please come on my channel and let's talk about this. She's not a Mary Sue. There's no way. It's impossible. She is not Burnham. This is completely dishonest. This right here... I'm not going to say it's dishonest, because I don't think you're being dishonest. You're wrong, and I think that Discovery has hurt you in a way that we need to you need to show me on the doll where it hurts you, because there's no way that she is considered a Mary Sue. She can't be, by definition. By the way, if I haven't shared it, guys, me and him disagree, and I disagree passionately with what he says, but it's honestly a great channel. So go check it out. Go subscribe to him. Tell him I said forever. There we go.
Cool to say when we're going to war. Something like, it's warp time. What do you think of that? Is that good for you?
This is why this is dishonest. This is a completely and utterly dishonest video. Who was it who hasn't been able to see these? Volk here. Let me tell you why. This entity right here. Look, you notice something. See how big it is right here? Look how big it is. Okay? Now, look how big it is right here. Look how big that is. Look how big that is. Do you see how big that is? Do you see how small that is? Okay, so let's go back. Daddy's home, and then itty bitty, tiny little source. Itty bitty. He cuts out 2 minutes. So what happens is that this entity, right, and I don't think this is dishonest. I honestly don't. You're just not looking at the context. This entity comes in and it's this big. He comes out and he's like, I'm going to destroy you all. I'm going to take over. I'm the creator of everything. Mariner, the black chick. Mariner, the Mariner, the black chick, comes in and she's like, oh, look at this entity. If we enslave it, we can get it to do whatever we want. And she tries to enslave it. Now, that's a problem in its own. We could have that conversation, but we're just not going to right now. The entity says, no, if you don't enslave me, I'll do whatever you want. I'll make you something. So she wants it to make this tricorder, like this tricorder of the gods or something. So it makes this tricorder of the gods. It uses all of its power to make the tricorder of the gods. It is in the actual goddamn episode that it loses all of its power. And then I don't think it enters the captain right here. I think we just saw it die. I think that's what it is, because we know it has no power after everything is done. When you cut out 3 minutes, it really makes all the difference. Again, not mad at nitpicking nerd. It's just wrong. All right. Thanks for supporting the channel, Kristen. No issue with people disliking any Trek. Everyone has different likes and dislikes, but as Trek fans, why can't we be respectful? Why does there have to be so much drama and hate spouted online? Dislike something? Sure, just don't be a jerk. See, I agree. And, Nitpicking Nerd started off with this, saying that we can have a conversation. And that's what I'm doing right now. I'm passionate about it, but we're having a conversation. It's a joke video, though. It's a joke, y'all. Oh, my God. Okay, so it's one... Okay, hold on. Who said that? Right here in this one, he's talking about how... he's trying to compare these two and how they make light of rape, or how the morals of the new Trek is nothing like the old Trek. But in this one, it's a joke. So is that how it works? When it's a joke, we can get away? Is that how it works? When it's a joke, it's whatever. Yep, Wildfire, you're absolutely right. When I want to make money, the one thing I do is I start drama. That is absolutely right. That is just, you nailed it, buddy. Just absolutely. Let's see how much bank I'm doing when it comes to that. Because he nailed it. Let's go look at it together. Let's do that, buddy. Because you're right. I wish I was as intelligent as Wildfire was. I got to be honest. I'm actually jealous that his big brain has defeated me. All right, so let's see. Where is that video? Major Grin sitting at 2.1 thousand, which, as you know, just looking at this, is absolutely the highest view count that I get. It absolutely nailed it. It is. And there's no other videos that do 10 times what that is, or whatever. It's all about that. And every time I start drama, it just does great for me. Just absolutely fantastic. So nailed it, buddy. I don't know now, being exposed, what I'm going to do with my life.
So I wonder what he'll say about the second episode then. Now, in some of the Grin videos, as I explained, those were basically jokes or parodies, so it wasn't always serious criticism, but I tried not to take anything out of context in those videos in which I was making.
You did. In every video we have done, you have taken them out of context. You did. Now you can say it's a joke, and you're not incumbent to actually do it.
The comparisons, it was an honest attempt to show similar situations and how the new Trek shows deal with it in an opposite way of the old ones. It was a comparison of similar situations and how the characters behave in a totally different ways, and yet he doesn't actually address any of those specific situations. He just says we've been trained to hate the new Trek shows for no reason.
I believe that. I believe people have been trained. But you're right. I didn't there was nothing of substance in my video. I'll grant that. In fact, to that point, I think you could say that it may have just been considered an attack video because I added nothing of value to it. I'll grant that, and I apologize. My comment was very lighthearted. Oh, I got you. Okay, so let me say this, Wildfire. I'll go ahead and apologize to you too, Wildfire. Again, going back to what we were talking about, I'm passionate, but I'm not mad. Like, I'm going to go and watch tonight I'm going to watch Kiki's Delivery Service with my kids, and that's what I'm doing after this. I'm not mad, but I am very sarcastic, and it's very hard in this time for me to tell when you're joking and when you're not via text. It's not a joke when I say 1 in 5 and 1 in 6 video comments is an attack on me, is an attack on my character, is calling me a shill, is just some form of sincere, unironic attack. And so because of that, it's hard for me to sometimes read humor. And then when I respond like I do, and people think, and it's possible that it comes off like I'm just going to lose my mind. I'm not. I'm passionate. That's all it is. So I'll apologize because I thought you were really having a go at me. Are we just treating Star Trek criticism like religion, where anything not from the lips of Roddenberry is non-canon and thus heresy? No, Gene Roddenberry had a lot of bad ideas. Lots. I am so glad he had very little impact on many of the movies. Anyway, I think you just need to read over the haters and be chill. It's hard to read which ones are haters and which ones aren't anymore, though.
Not the case.
It's honest.
Okay, so he says we've been trained to hate the new characters and love the old ones. Well, again, in my old videos, I was poking fun at all the old ones as well, and I was showing the contradictions between the old ones, and even inside each series, we had a bunch of contradictions, especially in Voyager with Janeway. She contradicted herself numerous times, and even Picard, who I really loved as a character, even he had some contradictions. And before Discovery, I was making plenty of videos about all of that as well, and it never meant I did.
By the way, I don't know if I said it. Thank you so much, Valkyrie, for the support, and thank you so much, Chris M, for the support. And I completely agree with you, Chris M.
I didn't love the show, and I didn't try to make anyone hate Picard. I was simply doing those edits, number one, for fun, number two, to bring up the debate, to discuss the issues themselves. That's the most interesting thing, because a lot of things, even in the old Star Trek shows, was very controversial, and I love to discuss about all those issues and to figure out what was right or wrong. And the old Star Trek shows also did morality mistakes, in my opinion. I didn't always agree with the old characters did, or the moral of the story was not always good, in my opinion, and I talked about that in some reviews on my channel here. But the new...
That's fair. I feel like I've seen your stuff before with the old stuff, but that's fair. That is a problem with my video. My video does portray you as only taking a look at the new stuff. That's a good criticism.
New Trek shows have more problems like that, in my opinion, and so I simply make these comparisons to show those problems, to demonstrate what's wrong in the new ones compared to the old ones. And Lore is making fun of that, but he doesn't address any of the actual topics, any of the actual issues.
Fair criticism. I think he's right.
And then he says he likes Major Green, but the joke has passed. I guess maybe I did do maybe too many of those kinds of videos. And he says the Trek shows are different and do different things. That's perfectly okay. But that doesn't mean it's illegitimate to compare them and to show the different attitudes in them, especially since they're all supposed to be taking place in the same universe and the same continuity. Then we have to talk about the fact that they don't seem to fit with each other, and that is kind of a problem if it's all in the same franchise, the same continuity. And
I don't think he's flustered here. I'll say Green comes across as very defensive here. I don't think he's defensive. I think he's just trying to address my problems. This, towards the end, I don't have any problem with. The video itself, again, I was just taking swipes at him. I didn't give any legitimate criticism. Well, let me rephrase. I think they might have been legitimate criticism, but I didn't explain why or what was wrong with the criticism. I just sit there and made a joke and didn't expand on it. So I'll agree with that. I think that's fair.
If we say it's a different continuity, that would make it easier, and that's one of the theories I was promoting on my channel, that maybe it's all in a different timeline because of all the time traveling. It created a different timeline in which everything is different and less moral and more dystopian and all of that. And if that was the official explanation, I'd be fine with that, and maybe it would even be fun to see a darker version of Star Trek, and that's kind of...
I wish they'd do that. I actually agree here. I don't like Discovery and Picard being in the same timeline. I wish they were reimagined. It'd make it a lot... I would enjoy it so much more if it was reimagined. I disagree that it is there, but if you think that it is, that's fine. But I agree that I think that this all should just be reimagined. Don't put it in the same timeline.
Kind of what I was doing in my old parody edits, I was making Star Trek into a dystopia instead of an utopia, doing everything upside down, and it was funny in its own way. And so if the official Star Trek wants to go that route, that's fine. I might enjoy that. And even in the lower decks, which is much closer to the old Trek than any of the other recent Star Trek shows, they do still have some of those elements. And again, if they simply say it's a pure comedy, a pure parody of the old one, I'm fine with that. But if they're trying to say, no, that's part of the actual continuity, then...
So Wildfire, here's the thing. I offered to take the video down once I heard his side. NitPicking actually told me to keep it up because he felt it was a good way of promoting his channel. But if he wanted me to take it down, or I think this video, this live stream, honestly stands for a good difference between both of us. I think this really gets my point out. If he wanted me to take it down, I would probably take it down. There's not a lot of users I'd do that for. If I do a criticism of you, usually I'm open to the conversation. But if NitPicking, in this instance, if NitPicking wanted me to take it down, I would. But he has said that it's fine to keep it up. It is honestly doing me no favors either way. I'll be honest with you. I'm not really getting any views off of it or anything like that. And for the most part, the people who understand how my humor works gets the jokes. And, you know, both sides, both my fans and his fans are going to have it out at each other, right? And again, me offering to take it down while you say that's respectable, it's really no big deal. It doesn't impact me either way. But if he wanted me to take it down, I would take it down. And I offered to take it down beforehand. Especially because, again, if we have good arguments like this. I think maybe if you watched a lot of his older videos, maybe you'd probably understand his angle more. I mean, that's possible. I feel like I've seen his older videos, but maybe not.
That will be problematic, and I will definitely analyze that. And I will do that anyway just for fun, but that's just me. I like to focus on every little detail. I like to analyze things. I like to overanalyze anything, and I like to discuss the actual issues and topics and all of that. And maybe we can do that later on and talk about the issues. And I would like to respond to some of the issues that Lore talked about in some of his videos. I didn't really want to do that before because I didn't want to come across as if I'm attacking him or disagreeing with him. I didn't want to make videos with counterpoints to everything he says, but since he's doing that himself to me without knowing it's me, maybe I will do that a little.
I had no idea it was him, by the way. When I did Major Grin, I had no idea it was him.
And this video is getting way too long, so I won't do it today, but maybe I'll...
So generally I don't do response videos for a couple of reasons. Like what I said beforehand, I think still stands true. So when I put up a video, I have to realize that I'm going to impact people and influence people. I'm not saying it's to a major degree or I'm like this important person, but I am saying that I know that there is a certain amount of influence that could be taken from the videos that I put up. So that's generally why I don't do response videos. Because I did one time do a response video and it brought a ton of hate to somebody and I did not like that. There's only one person who does response videos or has done response videos that I will not engage with. But beyond that, if people want to do response videos or whatever, I mean, they're more than welcome. Depending on how you do it is going to be dependent on how I respond. If you're like, for instance, if you're respectful or you say you just want to have a conversation like NitPicking, I'll get passionate about the topic, but I'm not going to get mad. But if you come at me pretty hard, I'm going to have fun with it. Right? That's exactly what I'm going to do. Overall, it's not a bad video. Again, I disagree on certain parts. I think that you guys, because there's like 80 some people here, I think you guys should go take a look at that video right there and go give it a thumb up and tell them, say, hey. I said it once and I'll say it again. I don't think NitPicking is interested, and I can understand why based on what he said here. But he is more than welcome on, and we can have that conversation. Sci-Fi Nation, I'll consider and maybe get back with you at some point. But yeah, I mean, so what are we gonna put here? What are we gonna put here, boys? So nice seeing you at the live stream. I finally finished it. I did get very passionate at some points. And my usual... What would we say? How would we say this? My usual flourish in responses. But you're a good guy. You have a good channel. and it's never been personal. I think we just disagree on how we see some of the different series. I love you, and I hope that one day our marriage will be celebrated among the stars. This is definitely not a comment done while still on the live stream. Smiley face. Comment. All right. So before we go, shall I look at the comments and comment on it or not? What do you think? One in the chat if you want me to look and comment on the comments, because those are going to be awesome. Or two if we should end it here. Oberth is the best ship. That's true. They are the best ship. I will give Lore ++1 because he managed to say my nickname right. Well, good. I'm glad I was able to. 69. Rami always, like, loves doing them jokes. Ooh, I got a +1 there. Look at that. He attacks you because he doesn't dare attack the big boys, who indeed do all the things he smears onto your channel, but you don't do. He attacks you. Ooh, this guy likes commenting on my channel. He doesn't like me that much, though. I don't think he likes me that much. He attacks you because he doesn't dare to attack the big boys, who indeed do all the things he smears onto your channel. Yeah, I've never talked about Midnight's Edge. I've never talked about Fandom Menace. I've never taken swipes at Steve Shives. I just don't attack bigger channels, guys. I just don't do it. Fact. Dude, you ripped him to pieces. Well done. Reasons versus double standards. Brace yourself. BS gonna come as answer big time. Insightful. I honestly don't even think Lore Reloaded likes the old Star Trek shows. In fact, that's true. When I made an 8-hour documentary on the Dominion War based on Deep Space Nine, and that was just the video put together, 8 hours. Now, literally, for every episode you there, so every 5 to 10 minutes is about 8 to 12 hours of my life that's gone that I'll never get back. And I did that because I don't like the older shows. That's science fact. I would pay it no mind. Keep the videos coming. Hell yeah. Star Trek follows ethics and values, which are inherently Jewish. What the fuck is that about? What? The Cisco and Mirror Universe Jadzia scene bugged me because he called her Dax, making a huge assumption that Jadzia was joined with the Dax symbiote in the Mirror Universe. Maybe Smiley O'Brien mentioned Dax by her beforehand. I never even thought about that. The sheer effing hubris. I get the joke. I think it's fine if people like Lower Decks. It may take place in the same continuity as the Prime timeline, but it's not canon. I don't see how it could be. Irregardless of its quality of how bad... See, this is a fan of the Lore Reloaded channel right here. Irregardless of its quality of how bad or good it is will be, tonally, and things that happen will not and could not align with the old Trek shows. Completely disagree when it comes to Lower Decks. I think I agree with Picard and Discovery, though. Does not align tonally. If you wanted to misinterpret Major Grin videos, it'd be about how the Picard is Satan of Star Trek. The Picard is angry with us. He is. YouTube beef. Channel is blowing up, y'all. Gone big. I will never understand religious people who like Star Trek, since it's like the most pro-atheist franchise in pop culture, at least in sci-fi, which is a big reason why I like it, but it still makes me scratch my head when I see religious people really getting into it. Well, Ben Chode, allow me to talk to you about that. First off, the original series, I disagree with him. The original series, well, not really, but the original series, a lot of religious people will like because it has religion. You have a lot of people. It has Catholicism in it. It has the people on Enterprise are religious. There's even a chapel there. I think that if you look at the subtext and you look at the videos or the episodes, it does mock it. And TNG definitively is anti-religious. Deep Space Nine actually brings religion back and is somewhat very respectful and shows religion in a more positive light. I would say even if all of them were atheists, the way the atheist acts are the way Christianity specifically is the ideals. You know, someone, you don't leave anyone behind, you're there for them, you don't lie, blah, blah, blah. It has all the morals of Christianity. There's 7 replies. Let's look at the 7 replies here. Whoops. Boom. Well, not really. I always had the impression that Star Trek is more pro-personal beliefs than pro-atheism. Just look at the episode Tears of the Prophets. Nah, I disagrey with that. Oh, Volcrox. What up, Volcrox? Big up in the house. Disagree with you, sir. I don't think that's the way it is, but cool that you're there. Well, even Gene Roddenberry said it was pro-atheist. One of the ideas for the first film was rejected because it was how Jesus was a false prophet, in fact. Well, I didn't know that. DS9 did go into more mumbo-jumbo religious nonsense. That's true. I guess I meant the Roddenberry tracks. Roddenberry track isn't that good. I had this discussion with a religious friend of mine who didn't seem to mind all these episodes with anti-religious messages. It was all about fighting and exposing false gods, which is a good thing to do, even from the point of view of a religious person. And at no point in all Star Trek did anyone say that no real god at all. You are wrong, nitpicking nerd, good sir. Definitively, in Who Watches the Watchers, Picard makes it pretty obvious. And in DS9, they even showed how religion can be a good thing. Of that, I will agree. I'm not sure about pro-atheist, maybe at times. I remember at least once in TOS where Kirk or McCoy said, on Earth we have one God. Can't remember the name of the episode. There is also the Space Rome episode where Kirk wishes he could stay on the planet and watch Christianity spread there. It feels like the franchise became more secular by TNG. Yes, I would agree with that. With all the episodes where they explain the beliefs and mysticisms. Mostly Trek promotes generally a liberal and freedom of speech angle. I don't know about that. And allows people to express their religious views. No, sir. No, sir. Logic and Vulcans can be considered a religion, such as Spock's Buddhist training to purge all emotions. Oh, Wildfire, that's you. What up, Wildfire? I disagree with you on that, but what up? The original story for Star Trek V had them actually finding God and Satan and Doug. Anyone thought that was a good idea at all? The end movie is kind bad, but truer to Trek. They never said God doesn't exist straight up. That's true. It was strongly implied. I really think that you're missing it. I had never even heard of the other guy, and he shouldn't get to you, although, of course, you have the right to defend yourselves. Haters gonna hate. Oh, I've never been heard of by Rented Identity. Well, let's thumb that up, because he's never heard of me. Yo. All right. What you guys got? And then I guess we're done. Insane Way is a god killer. And he had to watch Kirk die and bury him without a shovel. Yeah, he put rocks on. Oh, shit, that's not a good thing to share. What the hell am I doing? I am stupid. All right. What do you guys want to talk about? You know, as veterans, I've never really even heard of Star Trek talking about PTSD or any other problems like that. DS9 explores it a little bit with Nog, but they don't go a lot into it. No, that's not accurate.
Sci-fi _nation tipped $1. Gotta go for now. Great stream from what I was here for.
Talk to you later, brother. Thanks for coming by. Jake actually deals with a dude who has PTSD at the medical camp when the Klingons are about to kill him. Where do any of the main characters mock others for their religious beliefs? Oh, that's great. Who Watches the Watchers? Star Trek script. Who Watches the Watchers? From the script. Riker says, and you are saying that this belief will eventually become a religion. Baron, the guy who's trying to talk him into spreading religion on the planet. It's inevitable, and without guidance, that religion could degenerate into inquisitions, holy wars, chaos. So Baron's trying to talk Picard into going down there and starting a religion. He's trying to talk him into guiding him with religion. So what does he say? So when Picard, when they're talking about religion, how does Picard feel about religion? Here we go. Horrifying, Dr. Baron. Your report describes how rational these people are. Millennia ago, they abandoned their belief in the supernatural. Now you're asking me to sabotage that achievement? To send them back to the dark ages of superstition and ignorance and fear? No. We will find some way to undo the damage we've caused. Number one, tell me about this group's leader. Let's break that down. Millennia ago, they abandoned their belief in the supernatural. Okay. So they had the belief in the supernatural. Now you're asking me to sabotage that achievement. What achievement? Well, the achievement of the belief in a supernatural. The achievement of abandoning the belief in a supernatural. To send them back into the dark ages of superstition and ignorance and fear. What are the dark ages of superstition and ignorance and fear? Well, that is the belief in a supernatural. Picard is probably the worst when it comes to atheism. He absolutely attacks the hell out of it. Now, I think Picard is the worst kind of atheist, by the way. I don't agree with that. There's no way Picard could ever know whether a God exists or not, and to say that it's Dark Ages, I completely disagree with that. But he attacked it. He oh God, did he attack it? You girls okay? My room's always messed up. I don't know why she's complaining. Apparently her sister messed up her room, but it's always messed up, so I'm not completely sure. Don't have kids. Talk to you later, Maisie. Good to see you. By the way, guys, if you want to see something funny, Maisie Summers, if she's still here, destroyed a planet. She did. All right, I guess that's where we're going to be ending it. Thanks so much for coming, guys. Definitely check out Nitpicking Nerd's channel. He's I like him. He's a pretty cool dude. He really is. We just disagree. That's really all there is to it. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. He's welcome to do all kinds of responses to my videos, even if they be considered attacks. I don't care. I will promote every one of them. I do hate Romulans, that's true. Don't forget to rate. Sorry, Nicole. Maybe next time. Or Nickel. Don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe, guys. I'm going to see you on the next Lore Reloaded.